Triangle chapter of ORSA. Welcome to the second quarter chapter event. This is our second event that we do over Google Hangouts. We find it works very well to reach a larger audience, seeing as our chapter is called the Vaal Triangle chapter, but it really means that it's north of Cape Town, south of Johannesburg, between the two oceans. So everybody you can fit in there has been invited to this event, and thank you very much to Michelle for making herself available to present at this event. So with me in the Secunda Hub, I have late apologies from Marty Harmse and also from Dave Evans. So yeah, I'm sorry, but they'll watch the recording of the stream later. And then I also have with me Malcolm Murray. And I have Kim with me, who's an EIT with decision support. She's doing brilliant work and a young aspiring operations researcher. So Michelle, if you can just maybe introduce who's with you at the Sasolburg Hub again, just for the recording.
Thanks, Liesjen. I have with me the president of the Operational Research Society of South Africa, Henny Kruijer, the Society's treasurer, Tiny Jatoy, and from Sasol's decision support team, Henty Vandenberg and Johan Janssen van Rensburg, and myself.
Yay, thank you. Okay, so just thank you very much to our three guest speakers who have joined us through Google Hangouts. Michelle, who will be doing the presentation, but then also we are very honored to welcome Louise with us, Louise Vaal, who is the program coordinator for the CAP program at Informs. Is that correct, Louise?
That is correct. I'm the certification manager, and I'm very happy to see that Michelle is wearing a cap pin.
Michelle's very good at wearing a pin. She always wears a Canadian one. So. And then just very welcome to Angela Rademeyer also. Angela has been working with Michelle to try and see the opportunities of taking the certification exam in ORSA. So thank you very much for the work that you've been doing for the members. We're all very excited, and for the groundwork leading up to us all being able to take it. And yeah, so Michelle can give us a little bit more background of what the exam will be that we will actually be taking. So that's the point of this presentation today. So welcome to the three of you. Right, so Michelle. Michelle needs a little introduction. She's famous in the chapter. She is one of the best operations researchers in Sasol, I think, in the country. She has almost 25 years of experience. She is always looking for new opportunities and new things happening. She's always the one with the newsletters from iForce and Informs, knowing what's going on, and therefore she was probably one of the first people to know about this certification. And she jumped on the opportunity, and now she's the first person outside of the United States to be certified. Correct, Michelle?
Well, North America based,
well,
yes.
So,
some Canadian, but Louise could answer that one.
Yeah.
She is the first one in South Africa, and I believe the first one outside of North America.
Awesome. So we are very, very proud of Michelle, and just to share her experiences on taking the exam. So, Mish, anytime you're ready, you're welcome to start your talk.
Okay, I'll just share the presentation, and as I do that, I'm going to let you know that Dickie Langley has also joined us here in the Sasolburg conference room.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, I'm now sharing my screen. Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Excellent. This presentation is primarily a background presentation on the Certified Analytics Professional Program, and it's not just about an exam, Liesjen. And I have added a few slides that I think might be valuable to the Operational Research Society in South Africa to give background on the program. And I'll also talk a little bit about my experiences in taking, in applying for accreditation as I go along through the slides. I'll try to run through the presentation top to tail, but then I'd like a fairly open question and answer session because we've got Angela and Louise here that are probably better positioned to answer questions about the content of the program and what ORSA is doing to investigate it and see how it fits with our society's needs. So without further ado, a little bit of background about certification. Now, everybody probably has some exposure to certification, be they professional engineers who are doing their EXA or professional engineering certifications like Henty does, or whether they're actuaries who are taking actuarial exams. Informs has basically set up this program, and it is a program of certification. And that is a voluntary credentialing program, which is not required to be an analytics worker, but shows your attainment of knowledge and skills and can demonstrate to employers what it is you've achieved. Now, the Institute for Operations Research and Management Science, as I said, is the one that set up this program. Informs has been around since 1952 in a couple of different formats. That's maybe almost 20 years older than ORSA, and it started with Operations Research and Institute for Management Sciences, and then joined together to become the Institute for Operations Research and the Management Sciences. And its mission is very similar to our society's mission. We lead development, research, technologies and operations research, and trying to practically apply them to improve processes, decision-making, and management. Probably sounds very familiar to everybody in our society as well. Informs has around 11,000 members, half of them academic, a third practitioners, and the remainder students. They're a very highly educated group of people, 96% with higher degrees, which puts me in the elite 4%. That come to the organization with a bachelor's degree and a lot of experience in operations research. And it is a global organization, but it has a heavy footprint in North America, with a very small footprint in Africa, and I know there's 3 members in our SASL team, but I'm not sure how many there are within our society, so it'll be interesting to find that out. Now, when Thomas Davenport wrote his article in the Harvard Business Review a few years back on analytics, and it just took off that business analytics and analytics to support business was the way forward for analysis and data analysis for industries. Informs took stock and said, well, how does this relate to who we are, what we do, and how do we take this forward? So the first thing was we had to come to terms with what is analytics, and Informs has come up with what I think is a very good definition of the term analytics. It's the scientific process of transforming data into insight for making better decisions. And then they reviewed their existing suite of initiatives and where they could support, and they've come up with these analytics-related initiatives. And I'm sure we can talk about any one of them with Louise at the end. However, the focus of my talk today is the analytics certification program. Now, this program has a number of goals. The first and most obvious is it's to advance the use of analytics by introducing standards of quality. But I also like the third one, to encourage continued competency, to maintain your certification, to maintain your professional experience, and to share that with the community to increase the competency of the wider community. I think the fifth one's very important for our discussions in the OR Society in South Africa, because it's to be available for all who are eligible. And clearly members of the National OR Society should be eligible to apply for certification, but so far the bulk of the credentialing has been done in North America. The process is managed, so program is managed by a certification board, and its members are thought leaders in the field, including Tom Davenport, who initiated the concept of analytics. And it has people from both industry and academia, and the industries you see there are quite a range from General Motors through Walt Disney Corporation to more consulting companies and companies that do big data work like Teradata. A number of bodies have worked quite hard to put together the certification process, and in doing so they needed to think, well, what would determine certification? What type of analytics professional are we looking at? What type of knowledge should they have? And what type of process should they be supporting? And they've decided that the best type or shape of analytics professional is one that has a T-shaped skills, which is breadth of skills across a wide range of areas with depth in one professional area of expertise. And it's not 100% given that way, because if anybody knows me, I'm probably broad, but not very slender. So also people that are more generalists like I am can fit within the process, as can people that are specialized but are able to sort of see aspects in different areas as well. And then they had a group of professionals in a range of areas, different geographies, sectors, organizations, come up with the job task analysis. So within the domain of analytics, what tasks are analytics professionals to do, and therefore what knowledge are they required to have to do those tasks. I've added a slide to show the headers, and it largely follows analytics problem-solving process and analytics process. It's the way we do our work, and then within that, the knowledge required to do it. So most important up front is the framing of the business problem, defining it, talking to the stakeholders, finding out what the real issues are, and then secondly, defining it as an analytics problem or an analysis problem. Data analysis is very important. Cleaning, interpretation, collection, all of those aspects of data is critical to the work, as well as methodology technique selection. How do I know which is the best approach to use to solve the analytics problem and the business problem? Follow that with building of models, deploying those models, and reporting results, and managing that through the life cycle of the model, and potentially back to new business problem framing. Probably fairly familiar with people. It's not just at this high level, but it's been broken down into a more detailed task analysis, and it's shown in the brochure, which is available online and sitting on the table in Sasselberg. But Angela's kindly also included it in the June issue of the OR Society newsletter, with a full page explaining a bit more about that job task analysis. And I find it actually a really useful way to explain to people how we do the different steps of the work we do. And we've actually used it to discuss what our graduate development needs are once people come on board in Sassel. What skills should we be building in them in the first couple of years after they come on board in the company? Now, if I put you to sleep, it's time to wake up, because this is the most important slide in the presentation. And if you remember anything, you must remember the 5 E's of CAP certification. And there's a prize, because if you read my article in the OR newsletter this month, I mentioned 4 of them, and 1 was not in the article. So the first person to email me the missing E will get a prize. So pay attention. Education and experience. The first 2 E's are taken together. And in combination, you need a certain level of degree, depending upon the related area. That determines the amount of experience you have. So if you're like the typical member of Informs, the 96% that have a master's degree or higher, in a related area, then they require 3 years of work experience demonstrated in order to apply for certification. If you're like me, I needed 5 years, but I'm an old warhorse, and I certainly had that under my belt. Henty just asked me a question about what it means to be a related area, and no, it's not specifically in the field of analytics. My degree was in mathematics. It could be in sciences. It could be in, I'm sure, actually, Louise, can you note that, and can you explain to us when we have the Q&A at the end what Informs considers a related area to analytics, please? Because I think you would be better placed to answer Henty's question. Okay, Henny also has a question for us.
Any experience? Is that also any experience, or should it be related to some specifics?
Correct. Henny's question is, in the experience, any experience, and the experience is working in the field of analytics. But again, maybe Louise would be better placed to answer what would constitute working in the field of analytics. Do you want to take that question now, Louise, or are you happy to wait till the end?
I can take it now.
Okay, excellent.
We have a fairly wide-ranging definition for both those areas because analytics itself is so new and it can't quite be boxed down. The related areas of education could be, as you said, Michelle, mathematics, statistics, engineering, something in the science and mathematical computation area. Unrelated areas are easy to discern because they would be theater arts, English language, so forth. But we recognize people come into analytics from any number of areas, so we've made provision for people who might have only a BA in English literature but may have a certain bent toward the analytics field and have been working in it for a while. So we've made provision for them. When it comes to the experience, again, we know that people don't have job titles that say specifically, I am a professional analytics person, but we accept experience in areas that are mostly related to the degree, in scientific computation, in mathematical forecasting, in statistical computation, areas where you might have had to decide, determine, and deliver results based on some of the questions or some of the areas that Michelle just discovered or just talked about in the job task analysis. Does that answer the question?
I haven't heard computer science. Would computer science be a related area?
And he asked, is computer science a related area?
Yes, it would be.
Because that's his field.
Okay.
Excellent. So as I told Leishan up front, E, the third E is exam, but it's not just about the exam. You see there's 5 E's, but I will tell you more about the exam shortly. Fourth, effectiveness. Not all skills can be tested in an examination, so you're required to send a proof of soft skills by an employer, a client, a stakeholder, somebody that can certify that you can frame a problem, communicate with the customers, are able to do those softer things that are very difficult to test in an examination. And finally, there is a code of ethics, which you must agree to, and as I always tell Leishan, we must always use our analytics superpowers for the forces of good. And she usually, yeah, she always does, actually. But everybody wants to know about the exam. And I've already answered the first question once already. Oh, no, third question. 100 multiple choice questions. There are sample questions in the candidate's handbook and the study guide, which are available free of charge online from the Informs website. So if you're curious to see what the questions look like, they're also on the table here in the Sasselberg site. As we are analytics people, we like that there's only one correct response to each question so that we can analyze them in a systematic way. And you have 3 hours to complete the exam. And as Louise will tell you, I was the only one that filled that 3 hours on the time when I took the exam. I took all the time available, but not everybody needs that. There's two possibilities. There's a paper and pencil format at specific sites that are coordinated and organized in a proctored environment. And to give you an indication of the level of math involved, you're given a 4-function calculator that you can use to assist with your calculations during the exam. So you won't have an optimization tool sitting beside you or anything like that. But very exciting, there's now computer-based testing that started in May 2014, and as the president noted, there's even a site in Potchefstroom. But most of the places where we have analysts in South Africa, there are also testing centers. There's quite a number at Gauteng that Angela also pointed out. We have one in Vereniging, not so far from where we are here in Sasolburg. Bloemfontein, Durban, Stellenbosch, Cape Town. So there's a spread of locations across the country. You don't just pitch up on the door of those locations, though. You need to register first with Informs to verify your education, your experience, your effectiveness, your soft skills. You have to agree to the code of ethics, and of course you need to pay. At that point, you choose your exam format and the location. So you can choose to take it on a conference site where there's a pencil and paper format, like I did, or you can choose to take it at a computer testing site. I need my glasses to check where that is, Henty. We can find it online afterwards. Henty wants to know where the site is in Mpumalanga. It could be Nelspruit, and then the Secunda people are going to have to travel a bit to get to a location. Sorry, guys. Yeah, probably closer to come to Gauteng. Then, also very recently, you may have seen an email about the CAP boot camp or the CAP refresher sessions. Informs is offering a half-day workshop to be given by CAP credential holders, where they'll review the study guide, go through the sample questions, discuss any experiences, and answer questions prior to taking the exam. This could be in person or probably in South Africa via private webinar, but the criteria is you need to get 10 interested people together, and then you can schedule the CAP exam either that day or via computer testing, depending upon your convenience. As again, I mentioned the workshop is free, but there is a cost for the exams, and it's charged at the regular rates, which I will get to a little bit later. And something I'm quite keen about now that I am a CAP is you don't just stop once you're certified. You need to maintain your knowledge and extend your knowledge and share your knowledge. So you recertify every 3 years. You earn at least 30 professional development units, which are in the table on the slide, and they can be participating in education, they can be self-directed learning, you can write papers, give a talk at an ORSA conference, create new analytics knowledge and share it. You can be a volunteer for Informs or other organizations working in the OR field, and you can work in the field. You get 5 PDUs per year if you continue to work in the analytics field. And you need to spread those across the different categories. And from year 4, there's also proposed to be an annual maintenance fee. Now, we're not yet in year 4, so this hasn't kicked in. We are now at the point where we're a couple years into the program, and there's a little over 100 certified CAP professionals. So I mentioned fees a couple of times. This table is published in the Candidate Handbook, the most recent edition. There is an application fee, but it's waived if you're a member of Informs. There is an exam fee, and it depends. The cost of the exam fee varies from $495 to $695, depending upon whether you're an Informs member and whether you choose the paper and pencil or the computer-based formats. The proposed maintenance fee will be $100 a year, and certain resources are available to you. Most are free online at this point, but you can also request hard copies of the books, and you can also pay to have special exam retesting and certain extra things as well. It's all in the handbook. So what do you get for your money? Well, you get a professionally administered program, international recognition of your skills. You can proudly wear your cap pin, and you get a certificate that you can then hang on your wall as well. Letters to your employer telling everybody how cool you are, and of course it looks impressive on your CV if you're looking for new opportunities, as I am, so you can understand that was one of the motivations why I took the exam at this time. More information. We're lucky to have Louise online with us now, but you can certainly email them, and they're very responsive to answer any questions. There's a lot of information on the website as well, and you can phone North America and also discuss further if you would like to. And finally, I will open the floor to questions.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Pleasure.
I have a question. The maintenance fee. Why is that necessary, and what happens if you miss a year's payment? You lose a certification, or how does that work?
I think I'll take that answer. It's necessary to maintain the program. We want you to certainly keep the skills current, and if you don't pay the maintenance fee, there is a grace period where you can catch up, but at some point you will lose the certification. That is one of the challenges of certification. Once you earn it, you have to work to maintain it. Otherwise, it can be taken from you.
So it's not like a driver's license?
No, it's not like a driver's license where you keep it forever, unless, of course, you do something really drastically bad. But
and then how you have to take the exam again to be able to obtain it?
Yes, after a certain point you will have to take the exam again, and then you will be subject to the same maintenance requirements.
Okay.
Can I ask something? If you fail the exam, can you retake the exam or reset the exam, or do you have to apply again?
I believe that question was asking about retaking the exam. Yes, if you fail the exam, you can retake it twice in the first year after the exam. And after that, we ask that you wait a year so that you can have time to perhaps do some further study. We really don't want to keep taking your money because you're going to fail the exam. That would not be fair to you, and it certainly wouldn't be fair to the program. So you can keep on taking it. If you stop in your quest at some point, 5 years later, you will need to reapply. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Welcome.
I have another question. If, despite just doing your work every day for 3 or 5 years, what's the best way to prepare for the actual exam?
The best way to prepare for the exam is to work. Basically, it is a practice-related exam, and the questions on it are ones that you may have encountered during your work and ones that you will probably have encountered with friends or discussed with friends at ORSA events. It is as I said, based on practice, and that practice Michelle very ably outlined is from the very beginning to the end of the analytics project. It's based on an analytics project from beginning to end, but it is not specific to any one particular field. With this, you're across that top of the T, and you can practice in any area. Practice in pharmaceuticals, energy, oil and gas. There are all kinds of places where you can employ that knowledge of the analytics process. Did I answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
If we want to make our members also aware of the opportunities, is there any specific selling point that you can recommend that we can focus on, or anything that you can recommend?
Most of the information is on our website. One of the things I would say is that this is a program that is both vendor neutral and software neutral. You do not have to be a SaaS practitioner. You do not have to know any particular software. You can, once you have evidence of the whole process, employ those skills in any area and using almost any software. It basically indicates that you are somebody skilled in the process, not necessarily skilled in a toolkit, so that you'll have the ability to choose the toolkit that is best suited for whatever area you're working on. And of course, because it is developed by an association of many practitioners, there's not a specific program bent toward any vendor. There's not an idea that this is somebody behind us. We have, as you've seen from the Analytics Certification Board, people from all fields, people from across the world. And it is, for that reason alone, a valuable tool to use when you're talking with an employer or when you're talking with an employee.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Welcome.
I'm back again. Louise, I wonder if you could speak about your engagement with universities that are offering higher degrees in analytics and how that relates to the analytics certification process.
Thank you for asking that. We're working with a number of universities who are putting together or have already put together analytics programs. In some cases, we are offering exams to graduating seniors who have, of course, the experience, because many graduating seniors are going back to school to get this particular career change and to get a degree under their belt so they can move on. We are also working with some universities on the curriculum, lining it up with the body of knowledge, lining it up with the job task analysis. Earlier this year, Gary Bennett, who is the director of marketing here, worked with a group of graduating seniors who looked at a number of university programs and checked to see where they lined up against our job task analysis. You might see on our website over the last couple of years, last couple of days, it hasn't been years yet, there is an ad for Ryerson. Ryerson University has a program that they developed based on the job task analysis. So they started from our job task analysis. Instead of us going to look at them, they came to look at us. And we see this as perhaps a wave of the future. People are going to be looking at programs and developing them according to this standard industry-wide non-specific job task analysis so that they can say they're preparing people to work in the field and they are preparing graduates for any number of specific jobs. I think that's all I can say on that topic at the moment.
Thank you. I've been asked to give some background to one of our universities who has programs in analytics now in Northwest University in Potchefstroom in a few months' time. So they would be very interested probably to talk to you as well.
That would be fine. I'd be happy to talk with them.
And he's going to ask a question now, but he doesn't want to be on the camera.
Okay.
I just want to know, do you foresee that there might be something like a category for students to get certified? Because obviously students don't have any work experience. Or is everybody all the same?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that entire question.
Henny was wondering if it could in the future be a categorization of the certification for students before they have experience, or whether you'll always combine both the education and the experience.
Good question. There is a meeting of the Analytics Certification Board coming up in a few days, and that's one of the topics that we will be discussing. We had originally started the program thinking we would develop a program that is the top of the T and that helps with people having 3 to 5 years of experience. We are finding that a lot of younger people want to know how to get into the field, and that's a point of consideration. Do we want to develop a program for the younger people? Do we want to instead go down that long leg of the T and develop specific programs for specific areas? Again, those are things that we are discussing, and yes, we are considering them. If you have any input, we'd be happy to talk about it. I'd be happy to relay it to the board.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Right, any other questions?
We've got a question here from Tiny.
My question is related to the experience one must have for the certification. And for us in academia, does it mean we must apply our knowledge to clients in industry? Does postgraduate supervision also count as experience?
Okay, so Tiny is in the university environment, and he's asking what the definition of experience means for certification, and whether with industry on a particular project for that duration of time, or does the research they do and the supervision of students also count as related analytics experience?
The short answer is yes. The more complex answer is, for academics who are in the position of teaching analytics, we will consider their teach and research as part of the experience, and any work that they have done outside as a consultant perhaps, or administering grants or developing programs, that too will count as experience for an analytics professional who is working in academia. There are a number of academics, as you might suspect, who are involved in this program, and that was one of the things they discussed early on. They didn't want to have their colleagues unable to seek this certification because they weren't actually working in the field.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Right, anyone else?
Just a sec, Henty's asking a question here. I'll relay it.
I'm trying to speak in the mic. I don't know whether you can hear me. You said that you will be speaking to the Northwest University and to see how this program can be rolled out on that side. That be the only university in South Africa
Henty is asking whether other universities in South Africa are interested in the analytics program, and I do not have an answer to that question, Henty. Does anybody from ORSA have a feeling for what that is?
The only answer that I have is that Northwest University is the one with the analytics programs, and that's why we're talking about Northwest University. I don't know.
Okay, so Henny says that the only official analytics program with that label on it in South Africa right now is at Northwest University. There are a number of operations research programs that sit in the different universities in different departments, and I'm sure they'll be interested in knowing more about the process.
We also, this was the first exec meeting we actually mentioned it, so I think it's definitely from the Stellenbosch side there was some exposure, and if I know Stefan Fusachi, he won't just let it go, so I know Stellenbosch will also be interested very soon.
Angela, can you give us a little feedback on the survey that you did and the interest that you saw from the various locations?
Sure. Unfortunately, we didn't get as much response as I hoped. We had around a dozen people contact us, and most of them, I think, are quite happy to hear that there's exam-based or computer-based testing now. So at least they don't have to do what you do and fly halfway across the world to get the certification. I think it's been more of an awareness exercise. A lot of people had never heard of CAP before. So hopefully now with, something in the newsletter and mention of it at the conference later this year, there might be more interest.
Michelle, I just have a comment from Malcolm.
I happened to notice yesterday in the Orsa magazine that I opened that there was an advertisement from the University of Cape Town for a branded analytics program.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that, but Malcolm says that he saw in our Orsa newsletter that there was an advert from UCT for a branded analytics program.
It's the Department of Statistics, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Not sure. So at least Stellenbosch and UCT have been exposed, so...
I'm flipping that through my magazine, but I'm pretty sure it was within the Department of Statistics.
All right. It's so good seeing your articles in the newsletter, Michelle, and then it says Michelle Fisher, CAP, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I think Marco did that. Every time he mentioned my name, he put CAP after it, and I was like...
No, because you have like 3 articles, I think, in the newsletter, or 3 entries, and every time it's Michelle Fisher, CAP. Awesome.
That's another benefit of getting the accreditation, but we'll mail you a copy of the newsletter, Louise.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
Not Ms. Hasselberg.
None from me. Then just to close, I just seeing as this is a chapter event, I just want to give some chapter feedback on what's been happening. To those not personally involved, which feels like everybody's involved, but the conference organization is going very well. We are very excited for our conference on the 14th to the 18th of September in Parijs in the Free State. The theme is accessible analytics, and we have the most incredible graphic designer who helped us design a logo, and the bags are being printed as we speak, so everything's really coming together now. All the sponsorships are in, the exhibition spaces are sorted, the talks are coming in. The early bird registration closes in 1 month's time. So if you're listening to this presentation and you haven't registered for your early bird yet, it closes on the 25th of July, so get it in, otherwise you have to pay more, which is fine on my budget, but I'm trying to save you. And the close for abstracts is on the 11th of July, so if you'd like to present at the conference, not just attend, then please get your abstract in. You can follow all the links from the ORSA website just to get to where you can register and where you can submit. Otherwise, we're going to have a grand old time. Michelle's organizing for us a fantastic social event on the Monday evening. Esme is organizing for us an incredible banquet. We're going to have awards and prizes, and it's going to be lots of fun. So I'm very excited for the conference. Sign up and get your butt at the conference. It's going to be awesome. Then we also have 2 students from our chapter entered into the student competition, the national student competition. Both of them are students of Tiny's, I believe. So we have 2 horses in that race, which we're super excited about. And the finalists, I'm sure, will be announced soon. And then the 4 finalists will give their final presentation at the conference, and then the winners will be announced. Otherwise, we won't have a 3rd quarter chapter event. The conference, seeing as we are hosting the conference, will be our 3rd quarter chapter event, and then we will have a final event in the 4th quarter, and then we'll also have our AGM there. So I don't know if there are any general questions on chapter activities. Right, Malcolm just left. Yay! Then I'm going to close this meeting. Thank you so much, Louise, for joining us, for taking time out of your day. I know it's like, I think it's what, like 11 or something there in New York right now. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much, Angela, for joining. And Michelle, you are an absolute star. You are definitely, in my eyes, Orsa's brightest star. Thank you very much for this amazing presentation. And yeah, thank you just for all the things that you bring to the society. The society is definitely richer for having you. So thank you very, very much. Okay, then I am going to stop the broadcast. I will share the link to the I will share the YouTube link so that you guys can share or view this presentation later. And then I'll also share this with the exec, so everybody on the exec will have this presentation on a video that they can watch at their leisure. Right, thank you everyone. I'm going to sign off now.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.